Next up is another very important topic I'd like to discuss, which is voting. Voting. I remember growing up, very few people actually in my family voted. None of them were really politically active in any way, shape, or form. No one even really taught me anything about the political process. They were, for the most part, my dad especially, of course, my real dad, my biological father. He was. When I think about it now, he was probably as much of an anarchist as you could possibly get. And my mother, she comes from a family. There are lots of people from academia in my family, and I would consider many of them to be statists for the most part. But my mother was a little bit rebellious in that aspect, and she was really not much into the political process herself, which I guess in one way is good, in another way it's bad because it means I never learned anything, not the good things or the bad things. Anyway, as an adult, it's probably in my. I voted twice in my adults. It was in my 30s, in my adult years. And I thought, because, like we've heard from many other people when they suggest, well, hey, if you don't vote, well, you got no right to complain or blah, blah, blah. And of course, sounded proper and kind of made a little bit of sense to me at the time. So I thought, you know what? Yeah. Yeah, I've never had anything to do with the political process in my whole life, but, maybe I should start to participate. But of course, because this was a new endeavor for me, well, I wanted to get to know a little bit about things. At the time, I believe, though, the first time I voted, it was probably about a month or so after first started even talking about this thing. Because I recognized things really need to be changed. Things are just going downhill tremendously. So I voted in, it was a provincial election, New Brunswick provincial election. And then there was the federal elections, one of them that I voted in. But of course, over the course of this time, I also started to try to teach myself, well, what is this voting like? How does it all work? How will it all unfold? How does someone like myself that goes and writes someone's piece? Do they read who votes for who? Anyways, it became quickly obvious to me that this kind of nonsense was just what the people, the ruling classes, the political classes, what they like to tell everyone, that civic engagement is the right thing to do. If the government is bad, well, you should change it to be good. But once again, this is a false pretense. What they're really trying to do is trying to legitimize the process. They're trying to legitimize democracy, which was another word that once again, growing up, who didn't think, of course, democracy is a good thing? Democracy is great, right? How many times do you hear the word democracy thrown around? It's supposed to be the greatest thing since sliced bread. But once again, once you start delving into what does it really mean fundamentally? You get lots of political doublespeak and these fork-tongued politicians or people that are mindlessly ignorant to the real facts would tell you, well, it means that you get to engage in the political process and affect how your country's run. That couldn't be further from the truth. What it is, and everyone knows this expression, most likely you know this expression, I should say, is it's two wolves and a sheep voting on what's for dinner, because it's majority rule, it's mob rule. Democracy is a rule by whoever got the biggest gang. Whoever has the biggest gang or group, that's who wins. And in Canada, I think even worse than the U.S. In Canada, Harper, I believe, got his majority with 38 or 39% of the vote. And now that would have been the total amount of people that showed up to vote. So here in Canada, 24 million Canadians are eligible to vote. Last federal elections that gave Harper his majority, 14 million of the 24 million eligible voters turned out to the polls. Out of the 14 million, so that means 10 million stayed home and said, fuck this shit. I want nothing to do with this crap. Don't mean nothing. But out of the 14 million that did show up, only less than 40% of that group voted for Harper. So if you take that as actually a percentage of the total amount of voting age population in Canada, which is 24 million, if you work that down, it works out to, I think, 22 or 23%. So in Canada, with a mere 23 or 24% of the vote, you can create a situation where your political party has 100% of the power. So you get 23, less than a quarter, less than 1 in 4 Canadians support this guy and his gang of thugs. But because of our first past the goal and the way democracy works, the majority rule, this 24% of the Canadian population, which are obviously people that are predominantly well connected in the political process, and they gain or benefit from having this piece of crap fascist in power, they get to dictate the lives. They get to steal whatever money they choose from the people. It's tyranny. I mean, to me, I don't know how some people try to separate this out, whereas they'll say, oh, you know, it was terrible to live under Stalin or Mao or, you know, any of the dictators or in the Middle East dictatorships. But I often question that and think, well, wait a minute. Actually, one figurehead at the top, if that's who's got all the power, well, it's pretty easy to get rid of that one figurehead at the top. Technically, it's actually quite simple. If you look around the world, it happens all the time. Now, the democratic process, where the entire bureaucracy of the system is entrenched throughout the entire country, you can lob off the guy at the top anytime you want. Well, I mean, this is what democracy does. You're constantly getting rid of the guy at the top, or girl. Does it change anything? No. Democracy is actually even worse than any single dictatorship or tyrannical small collective regime, because democracy makes that tyranny part of the foundation of the very country, of the very political process. So you're not getting rid of it. There's no way. There is no option on the ballot box to get rid of any of it. It's do you want to have Harper run your life, or do you want to have Trudeau run your life? Now they'll do it a little different way. You know, they'll steal for certain reasons. They'll steal for different reasons. But in reality, if someone's robbing you, does it really matter what they're spending the proceeds on? No, it's the fact that they're robbing you. It's the fact that you should have the right to say, no, you don't have you can't steal from me. That's immoral. It's unjust. It's illegal. But anyways, I digress. That is democracy. Now, like I said, when you live in a place like Canada where we have 3 parties instead of 3 main establishment parties, this is where it allows the votes to be divided up. Now the left, the New Democrats and the Liberals, which originally the Liberals were supposed to be more of your center, I guess, center-left type of party. New Democrats, I mean, they just took out their socialist word from their platform, but New Democrats was left. They're socialist. And then the Conservative, the PC, were supposed to be your center-right party. But in reality, they're all just tyrants that have different preferences in how they want to rule over the masses. Voting is, to me, and what I've come to realize is, voting actually, like I said, it legitimizes the process, which is the last thing anyone should want to do in this day and age, because then you just give these sociopaths and control freaks the belief that they have legitimate right or authority over you. And I mean, to me, that's foolishness. That's for slaves and serfs, not for free individuals. So, other than those 2 times, I don't vote, and I never will. I'm not going to give anyone no excuse. And when someone comes to me, and I have actually had people say, well, if you don't vote, you don't. Oh, yeah? Well, I'll flip the script on them really quick. Well, actually, no, you're the one. You're the one that voted for the conservatives, which means that all the bills, all the omnibus tough on crime bills, all these new laws and restrictions and oppressive, just massively oppressive legislative acts that's been introduced and passed, that's on their head. That's on the person that voted head. That's not on my head. I didn't fucking tell any of these fucking assholes that they have the right to rule over me. I didn't say, yeah, well, you know, I didn't care for this person, but you can control me. You seem like a pretty good... No. I'm saying none of you idiots have the right to rule over me, nor do you even represent me. Even the concept of that they're your representatives. Since when do you have any say? Name one. If someone wants to, let me know when you've actually affected change in Canada. Your vote. Nah, it's not going to happen. You know it's not. Because when you go and you watch Question Period, or when you see when they're sitting there in the Parliament building and passing, you're not there. They're there. The politicians, you know, these snake-tongued, a lot of them former lawyers. Those are the people that are past the laws, or the lobbyists, corporate lobbyists that are looking to, you know, cozy up. Because I mean, we really are. I mean, people don't like using the word, but this is fascism. This is fascism 101. Government and business working together hand in hand to screw over the people. Yeah, that's pure fascism. So no, I will not legitimize that process. I will never vote again. Nobody's ever going to be able to put forth any kind of argument. I mean, they could try. You could try. Anybody could try. But you're going to work really, really hard. And tell you the truth, I can't see you being able to pull it off, where you're going to convince me that, yeah, it's a good idea for me to tell people, yeah, you have the right to control me, to dictate my life, or the lives of the people I care about, or even just the people that I don't care about. Because that's the thing. As a compassionate, empathetic person, of course, me and my family come first, but I care about everyone else too. And I don't think that Harper has any right to control anyone else. Even the person that believes they're supposed to vote, I'll forgive their ignorance and say I still don't believe Harper has the right to control their life, even though they're foolish enough to accept it themselves. I'll gladly point out to them. Whether they want to believe me or not, that's up to them. Anyway, so that's my rant on the voting issue. Don't waste your time. Don't waste your time. Believe me, it's not that I'm saying that we don't have alternatives to do, because I'm gonna cover all this stuff in successive videos. It's not like I'm saying, well, let's just turn our backs on, you know, everything and just I'll go sit and hang out in the corner and pretend that things will go away, or that things will get better in spite of or because of our absence. No, we have things that we can do. We have lots of tools available to help us, not just ourselves, but the rest of society, away from this foolish belief of constantly having central planners dictate every aspect of their life. That's thinking from old school. We got to think about the future. Anyways, so this is the end of my rant for my voting video. Next one, I'm not sure what I'm going to cover next, but I expect you might like to hear about what I have to say about some of the other many aspects that we've all seen some happening around us, and I'm about ready to step up the game and say whatever's got to be said. No matter who's willing to listen or not, I'm going to say what's got to be said. Have a good one. We'll talk to you later.